Now, I went to the Black Gangster Disciple trials back in the 90s. Back then, this was one of the largest, most violent gangs in the country. They had 30,000 plus street soldiers. They ran a multi million dollar cocaine heroin operation. They were also charged with 80 plus murders. They controlled entire housing projects, some storefronts on the south side of Chicago. Here was an amazing trial I went to back in the 90s. This was Larry Hoover, along with seven other defendants, all high ranking black gangster disciples. These guys looked like NFL football players. One of the defendants was a female Chicago police officer. The government said in opening statements they ran a $100 million a year drug operation and committed over 80 murders. This is one of the most largest, most violent gangs in the United States. Now, Larry Hoover was already in prison for a murder he committed back in the 70s. And for some reason, they put the leader of one of the largest gangs in the country in a minimum security prison. The government said he controlled the entire prison. He had a key to every door except the door to leave. He had unlimited women, booze, food, drug, anything he wanted, he controlled in Vienna. Now, the government put an ultra thin transmitter in a visitor's pass. So, when Larry Hoover would have Gregory Schell and other high ranking GDs visit him in Vienna, they would talk in code. This transmitter picked up hours and hours of them discussing gang business. They had a black female FBI agent decipher the code. They would talk about sporting teams. Eagles, Rams, Buffalo Bills, Raiders meant different things. Cocaine meant chicken. There's three of the top defendants in this case. In the middle was Larry Hoover, the leader of the Black Gangster Disciples. They would refer to him as King. The guy on the left, Gregory Schell, a.k.a. Shorty G, Hoover's right-hand man. And on the right, another high-ranking GD, I forgot his name, who would visit Hoover and basically run the gang from the streets of Chicago. They were charged with over 80 murders and running a $100 million a year drug operation. Now, one of the defendants was a beautiful Chicago police officer, Sonia Irvin. She was out on bond. I actually got a chance to, make small talk with her during some of the breaks. They charged her with aiding and abetting the gang. She had 12 plus little chicken fish restaurants that she allowed the gang to run business through. She also had a couple cars and a nice house in Florida, and the government was really pressing her on her salary as a police officer. Now, in court every day, Larry Hoover's kids, his wife, his girlfriend, his family, and friends, they would all show up in court, sit in the gallery, and were completely blinged out. Fur coats, leather coats, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Prada, Fendi, Armani, you name it. They put on a huge spectacle. Rather than dress down and be low-key, they were up front and center. Here's U.S. Attorney James Burns. He was very successful, him and his team, prosecuting the Larry Hoover and the Black Gangster Disciples. He also put away a lot of the Chicago outfit guys. I'll never forget in opening statements, he told the ladies and gentlemen of the jury that the Black Gangster Disciple gang that reigned over the south side of Chicago made more money than U.S. Steel. Now, at the end, when the verdicts were read, like pretty much every single federal trial, all the defendants were found guilty, sentenced to life in prison. Sonia Irvin, the female Chicago police officer, started crying, screaming that she's innocent. Judge gave her 150 months in prison, and I felt a little sorry for her.